Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and happy new year. So this video is for you if you're looking to land your first role, your first job in tech in 2026. It's either a case of you're actually just starting out, you're just looking at starting a career in tech this year, or you started learning, but you've been finding it difficult to actually land your first role without any prior technical experience. Then this video is for you because in this video I'm going to be sharing practical tips, right, on what you need to learn, what you need to build, how to position yourself, and how to actually even land job interviews even when your CV is empty. So let's get right into today's video. So I'll start by clearing something up. You do not need experience to land a job in tech. What you actually need is proof of ability. Hiring managers are not looking for just beginners. They are looking for people that have proof of the fact that they've actually acquired the skills and can actually solve problems with minimal supervision. I promise you, in this age and time, in this year 2026, a lot of recruiters could care less about, your degrees, about certificates of completion, right? Or fancy titles. What they actually care about is, can you do the work? Can you clearly communicate your thinking, and can you learn fast? And once you understand this, I promise you everything changes. So the first tip I'm going to be sharing for people that are absolute beginners is that you should actually pick a role that hires beginners. So this part is for you if you're in that point where you're actually still trying to decide on what career in tech to pick. So one advice I always give people is to actually do your research and actually look out for roles that hire beginners. There are certain roles in tech that, there are a lot of opportunities for beginners, and then there are certain roles in tech that it is actually easier to transition into these roles where you have, some level of maybe years of experience in similar roles in tech. So one advice I always give people is when looking at a role, especially if you're just starting out in tech, you don't have any prior experience in tech. So focus on roles with clear outputs, observable skills, and portfolio based hiring. And as I go further, you would understand why I'm saying you should focus on roles with these three important qualities. And some of the roles that I believe actually have these three qualities that you can actually consider if you're still deciding on what role to start your career in, especially if you're an absolute beginner. We have roles like product management, front end or back end engineering, product design, or that's what we refer to as UI UX design, data analysis, and then technical support or customer support roles. So personally, these are roles that I believe are actually beginner friendly in tech. So the next point that I would share is that you should skip the course trap. Trust me, courses are great. Courses are an excellent ways to get started. But the truth is, a lot of people actually misuse it. So this is what a lot of people do, right? You take a course, you finish the course, you get the certificate, you post on LinkedIn, and then you start applying. This no longer works in 2026. Instead, I recommend you use these courses to actually answer and understand the question, what does people in this role actually do on a daily basis? Then immediately just move to building proof. Remember, I said that what hiring managers are looking out for is proof of ability. So as you're taking those courses, don't just take those courses just to get certificates to be able to show that, oh, I've taken this course, I'm skilled in this thing. What you actually want to show is proof of ability, and how you show proof of ability is through projects that you actually get your hands dirty on and actually work on. One solid project actually beats 10 certifications. If you're learning coding, then you should definitely build things or apps that people can actually use. If you're learning design, why not design a couple of interfaces, right? Design an entire app. Pick an app that you love and try to redesign it. Again, you are showing proof of ability. You're learning product management. Take on writing a lot of case studies, take on writing PRDs, and just again put into practice all of the things that you're learning in the courses that you're taking, right? The certifications, honestly, they don't necessarily matter. What actually matters at this project, this proof of ability that you'd be able to showcase to hiring managers. I always tell people that learning without any outputs is just entertainment. So taking that course without anything to show for it, without any actual outputs, you've just been entertaining yourself. Now, moving away from courses, the next thing I'm going to talk about is how do you build experience without a job, right? Because a lot of times when people say that, oh, you need experience, more often than not, what we're thinking of is, oh, I actually need to get a job, right? But then the job you're trying to get is actually also requesting for experience. So how do you get experience without a job? And personally, I think this is probably the most important part of this video. So first thing you need to know is that you do not wait for experience, you create it. And here are practical ways you can actually create experience for yourself in 2026. So number one, you should solve real problems. You can pick an app that you use, right? Analyze an aspect of the app. You're looking at what works well, what doesn't work well. If you were to, work on this app, right? How would you improve it? Document your thinking, put together a case study, and actually put it out there. That is one form of experience. The second way you can get experience without a job is to volunteer strategically. If you're going to take one thing out of this video, is that please do not shy away from volunteering. So while you're waiting to actually land that job, your dream job, take out this time to volunteer. So even if you're just learning, right? Even if you're probably just taking a course, it's never too early for you to start volunteering and actually start gaining experience. Even if you're not going to be paid, right? Again, it's just a means to an end, and it's also an opportunity for you to put into practice whatever you're learning, and also be able to create proof of ability. Remember, again, the goal for hiring managers is that you want to be able to show them proof of ability and not just certificates. So volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. There are non-profits, there are NGOs that are looking for people to actually take on certain projects, right? You are learning how to code. You can volunteer, build something for an NGO, build something for your church, right? You can look at a problem in your church and just come up with an idea, build something. It doesn't have to be like, a very grand project. It could be something simple, right? Something to maybe a simple tool to manage attendance, to manage the church directory or anything like that. That is actually you putting into practice what you have learned and actually building some sort of proof of ability, right? There are businesses around you that are looking for skill set. There are small businesses, there are small early stage startups that are looking for people that wouldn't mind, bringing you on board if you choose to volunteer, even if it is just for a stipend or even no pay at all. Again, proof of ability is what we are going for, and we're not just going to wait for the experience, we are actually going to create the experience. So please do not shy away from volunteering, right? It's an excellent way to actually build experience even without a job. Another way you can build experience without a job is through internships and contract gigs, right? So you can choose to join an organization as an intern, right? So even if, of course, you want to maybe come in for a full-time employment, if that's not, coming through so quickly, right, it's okay to actually also apply for internship. It's okay to actually also reach out to people, again, it might sound like volunteering, but also just take on internship roles, right? Whether it is paid or unpaid, or if you're able to get contract gigs, right? Take for instance, you are a designer, right, or you're learning design. If you have someone that is willing to offer, if it's just maybe like a 1 month project, a 2 month project, what's just help create designs for this. I mean, it's not a proper full-time employment, but then again, it is also an opportunity for you to put into practice the things that you've learned and to also create proof of ability. So short-term roles actually also count again, and experience is experience, whether paid or unpaid, whether remote or local or global. Experience is experience. And then the fourth way to build experience without a job that I would share is that you should build in public. Look, I'm a very big advocate, especially when you are just starting out. I'm a very big advocate of you building in public. And what do I mean by building in public? Putting it out there, putting word out there, what you're learning as you are advancing in skills, whatever project you work on, just put the word out there. It could be on LinkedIn, it could be on Twitter, it could be you putting out Medium posts, Substack, like just be in people's faces, like let everybody know that, oh, you are acquiring this skill. Let everybody see how you're progressing, how you're acquiring the skills. And what this does is, take for instance, every time I open LinkedIn, I'm always seeing your post, right? Let's say you're learning product design. Every time I open LinkedIn, I'm always seeing a new design a new interface you've designed that you've posted. I'm always seeing you talk about, something you've worked on, a project that you've worked on, something you've learned. And what that does is you're just top of mind for me. And let's say, for instance, in my organization, there is an opening maybe for a junior designer or a design intern. The truth is, because you are top of mind, you would be the first person to come to mind, and you will most likely be the one I would want to recommend for the role, right? And this is why it is important to build in public. Don't be shy about the fact that you are learning something new. Let everybody know about it. Let your family, your friends, everybody online, right? So just build in public, build in public, build in public. More often than not, I've seen this work times without number for a lot of people. So this is not the year. 2026 is not the year to shy away from putting yourself out there. I promise you, you don't want to do that this year. So please, as much as possible, build in public, because it's just sort of like a form of marketing. Right, what you're doing is you're making sure that you are top of mind in the minds of people, and if anybody has any opening, any opportunities, is any opportunity, because you're top of mind, they can always recommend you or share such opportunities with you. So now let's talk about your CV and portfolio. The truth is, your portfolio is now your CV in this age and time, right? So in 2026, if you are just starting your career in tech, beyond you putting together your CV, right, you also want to put a lot of strong emphasis on your portfolio. And I would say a strong beginner portfolio would typically consist of 3 to 5 projects, clear problem statements, your decision-making process, and how you would improve or what you would improve on whatever projects that you've put in the portfolio. Again, avoid perfection, but show growth. And don't say because I said avoid perfection, you now put together a mediocre portfolio. No, go out there. That's the good thing about the internet. There are tons of resources, right? If you just search online for whatever, let's say for instance, I'm a product manager, I'm just starting out in product management. All I need to do is a simple Google search. Product manager portfolio templates, and I'll definitely see really good samples that I can draw inspiration from to put together my own portfolio. So you don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. All you just need to do is what is working out there, what has worked for others, for other people, and how can I replicate it for myself, right? So that is how to put together your portfolio. Again, in 2026, your CV might just open the door, but your portfolio is actually what will get you hired as a beginner, because that is one of the places, or that's one of the ways where you can show a well curated proof of ability. So if you're a product manager, in your portfolio you want to put together a couple of PRDs, you want to do competitive analysis, you want to write feature proposals, you want to write case studies, doing app tear downs and whatnot, just things that actually shows your thinking and your problem solving capabilities. If you're a developer, you want to have a clean GitHub. You also want to have readable README files. If you are a designer, you want to have well put together user interfaces of an entire app, right? So you can do 3 to 5 projects, create the full layout, right? And then you also want to explain the thinking process behind the project and what the project is about to solve, the problem statement and things like that. And if you're in data, you want to analyze, pick data sets, right? Practical data sets that applies to businesses. You want to analyze them. You want to put your insights in plain English, and you also want to show business impact. So again, you need to prioritize putting together a world-class portfolio. Emphasis on world-class, because you want to show how badass, even without an actual job yet, you want to show how badass you are, because you've actually learned, you've acquired the skills, and you just want to show proof of skills, proof of ability. So the next thing I'll talk about is how to actually apply without getting ignored. The reality is now mass applications don't work, right? I know a lot of times I see a lot of people say, oh, I put out 1,000 applications, 2,000 applications. It's a lot of effort, right? Sometimes that strategy works for some people, but for most people, it most times does not work for a lot of people. I believe targeted applications actually work a lot better. So if I were just starting out my career in tech and I'm looking to apply to roles, here is an approach that I'll take, right? So I'll submit 5 quality job applications every week. 5 focused, well put together job applications every week. And I'm going to ensure that I customize each application. So I'm not just doing a generic application to everybody. I'm going to make sure that I reference the company's work, right? Just to show that, I've done my research and, I'm passionate about joining the organization, and also attach or link relevant work. And then personally, I would also just stop relying on job boards, right? Because the truth is, the competition is too fierce. There is that same job. Imagine a lot of times you see a job opening on LinkedIn, and before you say Jack Robinson, over 200 people have applied already. Again, this is my own strategy if I were just starting out in tech, and it was actually what I actually did when I was just starting out in tech. I did not rely so much on job boards. What I actually used the most was LinkedIn DMs, right? I started out my career in tech at Venture Garden Group, and how I got the job was I actually reached out, it was cold mails, right? Connected with, a lot of people that I thought were in positions to be able to influence me, at least even getting an interview, right? Again, I had no prior job or work experience, right? I was just fresh out of college. So what I did was connect with a lot of people in the organization and then sent a well put together cold message, just talking about my skill sets, trying to sell myself and also show how passionate I am about the organization, what they do, and how I believe I'll be able to contribute to the organization. And then I sent the cold mails to actually sent to quite a number of people in the company, and thankfully I was invited for an interview, and thankfully I was able to land the role. So if I were just starting out in tech and I'm just looking at landing my first job, I most likely would not rely so much on job boards. I would use LinkedIn DMs, Twitter, Slack communities, referrals as well, right? Again, referrals was one of the reasons why I said building in public is extremely important. And referrals is actually key, right? So someone putting out word out there and vouching for you, it actually beats 50 cold messages or cold applications, right? So referrals is actually something that you can absolutely leverage. And then the final thing I would say is you need to prepare for interviews like a pro. So do not say because it is a beginner role, do not say because it is an entry level role, you just show up just anyhow, right? You need to prepare for interviews like a pro. So practice, practice, practice. Again, the good thing is there is no role that you're looking at hiring for that you wouldn't see sample interview questions online. Even on YouTube, if you search on YouTube, you would see practice mock interviews that you can actually just get familiar with it, get a lot more confidence, practice your answers. More often than not, they'll typically just ask the same questions, right? So practice, 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 show up with confidence, show up, like the pro that you are, right? Even if this is your first role, and just ensure that you kill those interviews. So in wrapping up this video and summarizing everything that we've talked about, landing your first role in tech in 2026 is not about luck, right? It is about first picking the right role, secondly building proof of ability and not just acquiring certificates, number three, showing your thinking, and finally applying intentionally. So if this has helped you, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I have a lot more videos coming up to help you scale up your career in tech. Don't forget to like this video, don't forget to share with someone that you think would really need it, and you can share in the comments any videos, any topics that you'd love for me to talk about. Thank you for watching. Bye.